Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by the Lines and Play Picks, coming to you from Oakland, California. As always, Josh Lander, joined by my counterpart on the East Coast, Nate Weitzer. Another great article up on playpicks.com for you guys with a pretty nice Monday slate in the NBA. To stay around, we are going to be giving away that gift card a little bit later in the video. You do need to like and subscribe to the page and then jump in the comments with that total when we bring it to you. And go ahead, and if you do need a DraftKings or FanDuel account, as always, head over to dkpicks.com or fdpicks.com and find all those local listings in your area. Nate, let's get into those lines.
And what a Monday it is, the 1st of March. The snow is melting here in the Northeast. Optimism brimming as we know the second half of the NBA schedule, but I digress. Tonight we have the Mavs -6.5 at Magic, Pacers +5 at Sixers, with the Sixers Embiid and Tobias Harris questionable. Nuggets -5 at Bulls, Jazz -7 at Pelicans. The Nets are -6 at the Spurs, and Cavs right now down to +2.5 at Rockets. Hornets +6.5 at Blazers, and that Cavs line is what jumped out at me this morning, starting at +4.5, over 1.5 times on the money line, and I grabbed that right away. I am not alone. The spread is dropping by this afternoon. It should be closer to a pick'em game. I think this was a total misprint by odds makers, considering how the Rockets have looked at. They've lost 11 straight with only one cover in that span, and they just lost by 50 last night to Memphis. And Steven Silas is talking about how John Wall is probably going to sit on the second leg of the back-to-back tonight. So without Wall and Wood, the Rockets, which are already a bad team, they're 2-7 with a -8 net rating, the worst offensive rating in the league. At home, they've lost 4 straight with a -24 net rating now at this point. They have not done well against the Eastern Conference. They have not done well as home underdogs, which they should be by the end of the day today. They have the worst offense in the league. And the Cavs, I mean, yes, they were struggling, but they won 3 in a row, including a 16-point win over these Rockets. Jared Allen balling out of his mind, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 2.6 blocks per game over his last 5. They're over 500 against losing teams. Allen can really burn a Rockets team that goes small constantly. They have no choice now with DeMarcus Cousins cut. And yeah, the Cavs are getting back to their defensive ways, which they did have some success earlier in the season. A little slip of the tongue there, talking about Sexland. They're back to 4th in defensive rating over that 3-game win streak, and they're 8th in fourth quarter defense. So definitely expect them to be able to pull away and win this one.
Yeah, we liked the Cavs a lot earlier. Obviously, they had some nice wins when they beat the new Brooklyn team when they got James Harden back-to-back there. And that was predicated on defense, as you mentioned. And really what happened to, I think, see the dip in their D was the injuries to their backcourt. Garland and Sexton weren't playing every game. You had the Drummond issues going on, and he's finally sitting. So, I really love what Jared Allen's bringing. And God, man, the poor Rockets, man, they had a really great identity until they lost Wood. Wall still a little bit hurt here and there. So, also they did turn down Victor Oladipo. I'm sure he's not thrilled. He tried to sign an extension with them, and they were not willing to offer it to him. So there's a little bit of discord.
I thought he turned it down.
Yeah, a little bit of no. They did not offer it to him.
Either way, that's expecting that locker room. Yeah,
precisely. Yeah, so a little bit of issues there in Houston. Really take advantage of that. Another team I'm looking to take advantage of, Nate, is the Spurs, as they are still without a ton of their players due to the COVID protocol. They're taking on a Brooklyn team that's getting Kyrie back tonight after he missed the game on Saturday, and they lost to Dallas in a bad way, also missing a couple other guys in that game. But he is back, and San Antonio, as I said, they're missing Derek White, Rudy Gay, as well as the rookie Vassell tonight. And Keldon Johnson is also questionable, a key player for them as well. So without any of those guys, you might look at DeMar DeRozan to be able to bring some offense against the Nets. And find, if you like his props tonight, last game against another really bad defensive team in New Orleans, without most of the key players on the Spurs, DD carried them with 32 and 11, shot an incredible percentage from the field. So you might look at that, but I do like the small spread at 3.5 with that Brooklyn team. Still incredibly amazing, even without KD. When they've had Kyrie and James Harden in the last 9 games without KD, in 8 of those games, they had both those players, and their offense is, as we know, one of the greatest we've seen in recent history. And they won 8 in a row, covered all those spreads without KD still. So I still feel really comfortable with a tiny spread and James Harden and Kyrie Irving pulling through for me in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I'm intrigued by the over as well in this one. I know the Nets have not gotten those lofty totals recently, but the last meeting between these teams, this was obviously pre-Harden and no Durant or Kyrie, they hit 259. Definitely ratchet up the pace between them with fewer good wing defenders available for the Spurs and Kyrie coming back. I think the Nets might get back to their shootout ways, and they lead the NBA in points per game in the second half in road games. So that thing could get pretty heated. And speaking of a high scoring affair, the Pelicans and the Jazz. The Pelicans came up 1 point shy of a 12th straight over on Saturday in a narrow loss to the Spurs. Still loving their overs. They are number 2 in offense and dead last in defensive rating over their last 8 games. They are 13-2 against the over at home. And they're particularly bad guarding the 3-point line, right? They give up the most threes per game. So that's what the Jazz love to do. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the league. They actually jump up to 40% when Mike Conley plays, and he's supposed to return tonight. He'll be distributing. They're obviously 4th in offensive rating, 2nd in net rating over their last 8, averaging 120 points per game. And they have some vulnerabilities against a guy like Zion, who has scored 59 points on 70% shooting his last 2 meetings with the Jazz. Rudy Gobert, while a great rim protector, can't necessarily deal with his quickness off the bounce. So I like the Pels, which they often do cover at home as underdogs. I like them to potentially cover in this game, keep it interesting, keep it close, but most importantly, get it over the total.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm actually going to interrupt us to say that is our gift card challenge for today. We want the total points scored between the Pelicans and the Jazz. Just a reminder, you do need to like and subscribe to the page and then jump in the comments with what you think the total of that Pellies and Jazz game will be combined. I know we're both going over in terms of our bets of that game as well, so I'm sure we'll see a lot of high point totals in those comments. A game that I don't think will be quite as high scoring because it has Portland in it, is the Orlando Magic hosting the Mavs. I'm just really going to continue to pick on Orlando whenever I see a team, especially like the Mavs, which is trending upwards. As Kristaps continues to get healthier, he was able to play last game and is definitely going to play tonight as well. They are +4. They have a net rating better by 4 points when he does play versus when he doesn't. And like I said, trending upwards. They've won 3 of their last 4 and 7 of 10. And a huge reason for that I'm looking for tonight is Luka's shooting, which, just when he shoots 46%, he's shot 46% from deep in their last 10, where they're 7-3. And in their last, when they win this season, he's shooting about 4 or 5 points better from behind the 3-point line, a clear correlation there. So I do like him to be able to score threes against a really struggling Orlando team who will also be without a number of their key wing players, and James Ennis, Jonathan Isaac, everybody continues to be hurt. So I do think Dallas can take advantage of a small 6.5 point spread against one of the worst bottom 3 teams in the NBA for sure.
And that's a perfect segue to the player performance double we like at FanDuel. For Luka to hit 3+ threes in a win, that's getting you +172 on your money. That's something he's done in 6 straight games. As you mentioned, he's really feeling confident from beyond the arc. So love that, to not even deal with the spread and get plus money. A couple other things I'm watching tonight. The Sixers-Pacers game is really going to hinge on injury news. If Joel Embiid is in, and/or Malcolm Brogdon is out, you got to love the Sixers at home. The Pacers have failed to cover in 6 straight when listed as underdogs. They are not good against the best teams in the NBA, and the Sixers take advantage of bad teams. And I'm looking at the Bulls right now, 5.5 point underdogs at home against the Nuggets team that is wildly inconsistent, has not been good against the Eastern Conference. The Bulls, 12-5 against the spread when facing West teams. That's definitely something I'd look at teasing if you're trying to pair it with another game, maybe get it up +4 to a +8 or +9 spread. I don't think there's any way Chicago gets blown out like that at home. And anything else you like?
Yeah, the only thing also, we're always watching injuries. Charlotte, they pulled it out against the Kings late last night. For those of you on the West Coast who are watching still, but they are incredibly hurt without Gordon Hayward and Devontae Graham likely tonight. Still no Cody Zeller down low. Don't laugh, he actually does help them on defense a lot. So if they do have any of those players, you might consider an over, as Charlotte has been scoring a lot of points recently. And we know Portland gives up and scores a ton, but most importantly, without those key players on the Hornets, definitely look for Portland to be able to handle them at home.
Yeah, and that's my favorite game for DFS tonight. With the Hornets shorthanded, I just made a lineup with 4 Hornets: PJ Washington, Malik Monk, Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, 2 Blazers, Dame Lillard, Derek Jones. Stack them together. Hope for some high scoring affair. That could really pay off tonight. Also, like Jared Allen, as I mentioned, against that small Rockets front court. If Embiid is out, I think you got to look at Ben Simmons, especially if Tobias Harris is out as well. Danny Green, Seth Curry can offer you some value there. And if Brogdon is out for the Pacers, you got to look at TJ McConnell, who will have the keys to the offense.
Love it. Cool with it. We will be watching all those games for you. Remember to jump into the comments tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe to the page and give us that Pelicans and Jazz total points for the opportunity to win a gift card. And we will be back with another video for you guys tomorrow. As for tonight, happy betting.